Good morning. Thank you all for joining us here at Earth and Sky, and those of you joining us online, thank you for spending your Sunday morning with us. I hope you already have your cup of coffee or your cup of tea, and so you can listen as we talk about part 2 of how do you help your children that are gifted, if they're psychically gifted, if they have intuitive abilities, maybe they can move things with their mind. Okay, they probably aren't quite at that level, but
Probably not.
but if they have some
But if
visions
they
or some
can,
dreams.
call us.
Yes.
Because I would love to meet them.
So it's not that uncommon, especially now we're hearing more and more about the indigo children. I know
Oh, yeah.
each generation seems to have a group of children that have these intuitive abilities that
Yeah.
really seem to stand above some of the rest. And so it's been talked about, it's kind of been given names as we go along the way. The indigo children, now we have the crystal children is the newer one that came after the indigo children.
Oh, I didn't
And-
know there was another. Okay.
Yeah,
That makes
and there's
sense
a
because you were
third
talking
one.
about them a while ago, so
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay, yeah.
And there's a third one, I don't remember the name of it too.
Gold or something?
I don't remember.
Platinum?
We name things as humans, so many
Mercury.
things, and it's a little bit, no, not the Mercury children. and, but we tend to go with names so much, and it's an interesting thing in our society.
It is.
But a lot of this is coming about because we're on this precipice in our society of huge changes, and light workers are really going to be doing a lot.
Yeah.
They have been, it kind of emerged a lot in the 60s, continued in the 70s,
Yeah.
and we have this movement that's continuing to move forward. That's a whole other life talk, though.
Whole other thing.
So we really wanted to continue what we started last week with, so how do you help your
So
children?
what do you do?
What do you do? What
What
do
do
you
you
need to
do?
know as a parent?
What do you do?
And so we had left off last time about dreams, and a lot of times psychic things, psychic abilities, intuitive notions, all of that will come through when you're sleeping, because when we're sleeping, whether adults or children,
Right.
that's when the body is restoring itself and the mind is open, the mind is free to really pull in the answers of the cosmos, to just know what's going on within the world and within our lives. And so a lot of times that information won't be filtered out the way it gets filtered out in the conscious mind, because when you're awake and you're
Oh,
alert,
right.
you're putting up all of your sensors. This makes sense, this doesn't make sense. So I'll agree with this, I'm going to lock that out. I don't know how I would know that, so I'll just pretend like I didn't realize that kind of a thing.
Yeah, yeah,
But when
yeah.
you're dreaming, information can just flow in. All of the answers of the universe are all around us at all times. That's how I do a lot of my psychic readings, is I just pull the information, the answers from
Wherever.
the ether around. And so, but when
Amazing.
you're sleeping, you can really open a lot more. So a lot of kids, that's one of the early signs. If they're not, if the parents aren't noticing the empathic abilities, they might notice what the kids are saying about their dreams or nightmares. Night terrors are also very common in people that are gifted, because again, they're very open to whatever's going on, whatever they're sensing
Sure,
in
a
the
lot of
world.
terrors.
And so because of that, sometimes I did have a lot
Did
of
you
night
have-
terrors. Is
I
that what
was-
you just
yeah,
asked?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
had a lot of night terrors growing up. I woke up screaming all the time throughout my childhood. I also sleptwalked and all kinds of stuff too. It was very interesting.
You were very interesting.
I kept my parents very active in the middle of the night.
It was like juggling knives, having her as a kid.
Right, probably. and so what do you do if your child's having trouble sleeping, especially if they're gifted? And this can work whether they're gifted or not.
Right,
Again,
yeah, of course.
But so if they're having trouble sleeping, if they don't want to go to bed anymore because they're just afraid of the monster under the bed, or what their dreams are going to be, whatever they
Hey,
feel
that
like the
monster's
reason.
real, man.
Okay, there are things you can do to help make it feel better.
Please tell me.
So one of them that's a very simple thing is just maybe have an angel set up on the nightstand by the bed, and let your child know that they can ask their angels to come protect them.
Oh, nice.
Angels are around us all the
Now
time.
does everybody have angels?
Everyone has.
For real?
Yes, absolutely. There's a few angels in the room right now.
Okay.
And everybody has a guardian angel that's with them as they're born into this world, that stays with them throughout their whole life and carries them into the next.
Really?
Mhm.
That's amazing.
That's your personal angel throughout your entire life.
That's awesome.
It's really special.
That's very cool.
And then there's other angels that will come and go depending on what's going on in your life. Sometimes you might have a bunch of angels around you.
And so if you tell your child that they can ask their angels,
Mm-hmm.
what would they ask?
You can, for children, sometimes having a visual can really help.
Right, so you have like an angel
Yeah,
statue.
pick out have them help you pick out an angel at the
Or a
store.
nightlight one?
A nightlight
A night
would
one
be
would be
great.
great,
That
yeah.
serves multiple purposes. Make it, yeah.
Oh.
Just make it feel a little safer having the light in there too.
Yeah, it's an angel light. I mean, come on, right?
Hey, that was the name of my company
Angel
a long
light.
time ago.
That was
Yeah,
angel
so-
elite.
and but anyway, so when you pick out that angel with your child, you have it in their bedroom,
Yep.
set up a ritual. So every night when you're tucking them into bed, maybe you've read them a story, tell them, okay, now tell your angel a good night and ask them to watch over you through the night.
Nice.
Very simple. And then they can know that their angel's watching over them.
And the angel will watch over them.
They will. Angels are always wanting to help us in this life, but as humans, we have free will. Our angels will only step in if we ask them to help us.
So seriously, you just ask.
All you do is ask.
Wow.
You don't have to light any candles. You don't have to buy any
That
incense.
seems a
You
little
just,
simple.
it's very simple, and they're just right next to you. I see them
You're
around
supposed
people
to be
all
like
the time.
chanting and
Yeah.
bonfires and.
You can have fun with that, but all you need to do is ask.
Wow. Okay.
You don't have to buy any books.
Seems
You don't
almost
have
too
to
easy.
spend
So
an
that's
hour. You
amazing.
can
Just ask.
just ask.
Say,
And
hey,
they
would
want to
you?
help. They're
Oh,
right
that's
there.
awesome.
They're always listening to you
That's
too.
great.
Angels will intervene at times if there's something really, really severe that's going to throw you off your course.
Or
Maybe you're not
life
supposed to be
path
hit
or
by that
whatever.
car. Maybe,
That's always
things like that.
It's always a bonus when
And
you're
so
not
your
supposed
angel
to.
will help pull you back and protect you.
Nice.
But outside of that, in everyday life, they do need to be asked. Otherwise,
Okay.
they won't interfere. They'll just be standing there next to you going, please ask me, I want to
Yeah, I
help
wanna
you. And all you do is ask.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that can help as a ritual before you go to bed. Have it so that, maybe they'll want to touch the angel, or maybe they turn on the night light. Okay, now let's say goodnight to your angel and ask them to protect you for the night.
Nice.
And then another thing that
So you could do you could even do like kids sometimes do prayers and stuff to go to bed. You could do a
Absolutely.
prayer
Have them
with
talk
an
to their angel.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, I'm hooked on this.
And then,
I'm like,
they-
and what else?
absolutely, they can do their regular prayers, or you can do just a talk to
An
your
angel prayer.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
awesome. Okay.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And you might find if you're getting your kids into art and stuff, you might see them starting to draw their angels the more they talk to their angels, because again, kids, especially gifted kids, are very open and very apt to be able to see the angels. A lot of times you'll notice, just like with animals, sometimes kids, you'll notice instead of looking at the person they're talking to, they'll be looking up over their shoulder, or something catches their attention and you're not seeing it, but suddenly their eyes are drifting and they're infatuated by something they're seeing. It's
You can see
very
something.
likely an angel.
Interesting.
And
That's pretty
animals
cool.
do the same thing. Animals are very sensitive. Animals and kids are very, very similar in a lot of ways.
That's awesome.
And so they can see them. So if you start teaching them to talk to their angels, don't be surprised if they start drawing
seeing
them.
and yeah.
and
If
talking
nothing
about
else,
them.
if they're talking to them, they probably want to put something with it, and that type of an imagination and correlation is a good thing.
Exactly,
So,
very
who
much
doesn't
so.
love angel ideas?
And to build that relationship as a kid, oh my goodness,
Wouldn't
can
that
help
be
so
great?
much in
Yeah,
life.
right, yeah.
Absolutely. And another thing that you can do is to throw up a purple net of protection. So some people might not know exactly what that means at first.
Yeah.
Energy, and this again is in another life talk on grounding and shielding. I think we mentioned it
Oh,
then.
the purple light, yep. We
So
did.
one of the techniques that you can do for that, purple, the color, all colors have a vibrational frequency which has a different special purpose. So purple is a very protective color. Very likely that might be why royalty was so drawn to it. I know it's one of the harder colors to create in dyes and things, but it could also be part of the reason they were drawn, because royalty was always trying to protect itself, build these fortresses, have these
Yeah,
armies,
yeah,
protect
protection,
yourself,
protect, yeah.
and they're also drawn to wearing purple and having purple in the house.
Nice.
And it's interesting too that that is one of the harder colors to create for dyes and things, and it's such a vital one for protection. So
Interesting.
what you can do to protect the room, and you could also do this with having your children help you with their imagination before bed, is to tell them, okay, let's throw that purple net up. And so you just imagine with your mind that you're creating energy with your hands, and you see this purple net. Maybe you stand on opposite corners of the room and you just throw it up over the sky, and so it covers the whole room. You're blanketed in a net of purple energetic protection. It
Nice.
really works well, and it's going to help them to feel safe too. A third thing that you can do, depending on what your religious affiliation is, you can just ask Jesus to protect them too. Jesus has dominion over all spirit. So if there's some funky things that are going on in the room, or there's, like the claw marks, or I've had somebody else contact me a couple years ago with a similar situation, and I hear
Holes
about
and
that.
claws. And
Yeah, and so if you get any of that just weird stuff, just ask Jesus to come in and rebuke any negative spirits. Know that sometimes it's actually fear that's from the child. It's fear from an emotional state. It might not actually be an energy that's negative. It might be their heightened emotions that are causing energy that shows up in a scary
in a
way.
physical way.
And so,
Interesting.
but doing something to clear it, to help them feel calm and safe, is going to clear it regardless, either way.
'Cause
Whether it is something or it's their
Because it will
imagination
either
that's
get rid of
causing it.
if it's a bad thing, it'll get rid of the bad thing, and if it's them, then they'll be calm, which means their energy won't be so focused that they'll be doing something.
Exactly.
Gotcha. Okay.
Exactly. So you can do that, call Jesus to help protect, talk to the angels, throw up the purple net, or you can ask their spirit animals to protect them. So just like we all have angels, we all have animals that are willing to work with us if we call them in. I don't know that we're necessarily born with a spirit animal, but we can certainly find out who our spirit animal is and ask them to come work with us.
And some people may already do that, so that would be helpful for the ones that already know that.
Exactly. And
Okay.
if it's not something you do yet, then you can just talk to them about, well, what animal would you feel like would make you feel safe?
Would be more
Well,
protective.
let's ask this essence or the spirit of that animal to come watch over you every night.
Like a really big teddy bear or something?
Yeah, big panther would be mine.
No
Yeah.
doubt. I'm trying to think of
But
like
a teddy bear, yeah, that makes sense for a lot of
big
kids.
teddy bear,
Yeah,
right?
whatever makes you feel safe. Exactly.
I just- teddy bear.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then helping them to just know that they can rely on that energetic protection.
And
to be
sometimes
there.
just the sense of feeling protected is all they really need.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't even necessarily need to be accomplishing something. The idea of if the child is gifted, being calm with their gifts sometimes is
Yes.
as important as actual protection,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, and we have the ability to, and this goes a little bit more into the ethereal, but we all have the ability to connect with a dragon, a personal dragon. So that might be something, if your child likes dragons, talk to them about asking that their
Who doesn't
personal,
like dragons?
I know, so asking that their personal dragon
Do you like
come in.
See, everybody likes
It's
dragons.
true.
Sorry, just asking. I took a
So-
poll. Everybody likes dragons.
And so asking your personal dragon to come in or asking a child's personal dragon to come in and protect them and let them know your dragon is going to breathe fire on anything that is negative.
Right.
And if you feel like there's a monster in the closet, just tell your dragon to breathe fire and it's
There you
gone,
go.
you know? Then you're still helping that imagination, that creativity, and they
And
can
they
have
feel-
a
and they
true
feel
ethereal
empowered.
dragon.
And
Yes,
then-
and
and
that's the key,
that's
helping them
huge.
feel
Feel
empowered
empowered.
so that they don't have to come to you every
Yeah.
time they're scared. Instead, they go, I got this.
I got this.
can
Yeah.
handle this.
Well, yeah, I have a dragon.
Exactly.
I have a dragon. I have a panther.
Exactly.
I have a big teddy bear
I'm
that'll kick your
good.
butt.
Exactly. And so that can really help
Nice.
with making the sleeping
Yeah.
go a lot better for those kids that are so gifted. And then gifted children often relate to animals, as we just mentioned.
Yeah, of course.
Animals tend to be more
Simple, pure,
simple, pure. Yeah, exactly.
amazing.
And they have unconditional love. They
Yep.
tend to be much more basic with their emotions. They have pure intent,
Yep.
which
Pure
kids that are
intent is
gifted
amazing.
are going to be picking up on all of that.
Right.
So they're very often going to be extremely drawn to animals because they feel like they can relate to them.
The pure
They feel
intent.
yeah, and that's a big deal to
It really
have
is.
that pure intent, that innocence. That
Yeah.
would be another good
Innocence
word for
is
it.
a great word, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So if you see them really drawn to animals a lot, let them have a pet.
Yeah,
That's going to be somebody that they can really confide in. They can pour their heart, pour their love into them, and they'll feel it reciprocated back to them, regardless of what situation's going on. That animal and the child are going to be huge buddies. Another friend of ours I talked to about a year ago she said they got a cat about the same time that she had a baby. And so the child was so happy that this cat lived all the way through the 18 years that the child was there. The cat was very sick around the time the
Right.
child was
Yeah,
18. And
yeah.
she said, I just really want to make sure she's with me through the time I graduate, because then I can say my whole childhood I had my
I
cat.
had this kitty through the whole thing. That's
we
awesome.
build special bonds with animals, and for those that are intuitively gifted, it really means a
Yeah, it
lot,
does.
even more so, I
Yeah.
think, than in a normal case,
I think
because
so.
you need that connection that's
Yeah.
really pure, that has no bad intent, that's always there for you.
Yeah.
Kind of
Every-
like you. It's awesome.
Trying to
Tennyson,
figure out.
You're wonderful.
Oh, okay.
Melinda, almost there for me.
I went a whole nother route with that. Now okay,
Exactly.
yeah.
You got it too.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
But yeah.
So, but it really helps. So
No,
that
but
you
yeah, no,
know.
that connection makes, well, yeah, because like, I had a dog.
Exactly.
And that, it wasn't until later in life I realized that what sense of a foundation that dog gave me emotionally. Which was,
Absolutely.
it's amazing.
Stability.
Stability. It's an amazing different, yeah, it's a whole different level than what you could even get from people.
Absolutely, it's so true. Yeah, I had an imaginary kitty and an imaginary puppy as a child, and I
An
remember on the
imaginary kitty too,
the first day of, I think it was preschool, my mom said I got very upset because she shut them outside the door, and she had to open the door so they could come into class with me.
That's cool.
And then I got a real puppy. Now I
that-
have cats.
Now
So we've come full circle.
Yeah.
So it's really important so that they can have that outlet that they can talk to and feel unconditionally loved. Another thing, so point number 7, is visions. Don't be afraid if your child is telling you about things and they happen to come true. Intuition, psychic ability is something that naturally comes to some people. So we all have the ability, but for some it comes much stronger, and it's a natural thing.
Enhanced.
It's nothing to be afraid of. Don't feel like just because something is coming true, and again, as we touched on, sometimes it might be the more emotionally charged things. Maybe they're seeing somebody's going to die or something like that. The child is not causing that to happen. Don't blame
Yeah.
the child.
Well, I've always thought of it, it's kind of like, literally it's a gift, and I think more ungifted type people, like normaler people, would, I think, correlate to like the concept of like somebody that's amazing at a sport. You know what I mean? It's just a gift like that. They can do something that other people can't. Or
Yes.
they can do something that other people can't, or the other people can do, but it's to a next level. So I mean, there's just levels. So somebody who's amazing at tennis, or suddenly picks up a baseball bat and can just hit home runs all the time, or someone who can throw a ball that's like faster than anybody else, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a gift. It's a thing you do, and so just because we don't see it as often, or it's not common for people to see, or or to be enhanced or focused on, that doesn't mean it's a negative thing. It's another thing that someone is better than the usual at, and it's just
Exactly.
that simple.
Exactly, and I've run into so many adults that say they feel like being psychic is a blessing and a curse, and they feel like it leans more towards the unfortunate side, which is truly unfortunate in
That is
and of itself.
unfortunate.
And so many feel like they've never learned how to have control over it or how to accept what they hear, and so they feel like that it's so overwhelming. They've never learned how to ground. They've never
they-
learned how to have faith in
They've
themselves.
tried to squash it.
And you can't squash
You
it.
can't.
I mean, for some, you can squash it for a little bit, but it's going to keep coming back. There are also a lot of people that are very intuitively gifted that go to drugs or to alcohol to try to
shut
numb
it
that
down.
voice
Yeah,
out, which is a really
That's so
difficult and sad approach. And
Well,
we've
and then
lost
you-
many, many wonderful people to that.
And then you're ruining your entire life just so that you don't,
So you run.
you mute part of who you are.
Right.
And so you literally throw your entire life away because you don't like this one tiny aspect.
Exactly.
And that doesn't,
And having that love, having that encouragement as a child can make all the difference of knowing that, yes, sometimes the visions aren't things that you would want to happen, but you're seeing what is, and it just is fact of what is.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, and it's okay. Or they're hearing the thoughts of other people, they're understanding the motives and the intent of other people, and that's okay to understand it. You just continue to live your life the best you can. So if they're having those visions, don't be afraid of it and don't overreact to it, because the first reactions that you have when your child is coming to you telling you something that they see or that they think is going to happen,
Means a lot.
the first reaction that you have is going to be really a strong shaper in
Yeah.
how they feel about
Yeah.
their gifts, how they feel about themselves, and how they carry that through the rest of their lives. And if you are afraid of that or you're mad at them, I've run into some people who their parents were mad at them when they had gifts or when they would say things.
I
When
guess people get mad at their kids for a lot dumber things than that.
I've heard
so.
some pretty horrible things
That's-
of what
I
parents did with trying to shut it out and letting them know they basically would abandon them and not care about them if they ever said anything that was psychic. And so it causes them to shut that down and feel bad about it and question, what's wrong with me? And
Yeah,
there's nothing
there's
wrong with that
nothing.
child.
Nothing.
But so watch whatever your reaction is. If it startles you and you're not sure, on the outside, at least give them that faith and that encouragement. Listening to them, asking
And regardless-
questions, letting them know
And
they're loved.
regardless of what they ever say to you about anything, don't react badly. Right?
Yeah,
Anything.
your reaction will shape how they feel about not only their gift, but how they feel about themselves. This is a
the
very
world,
big core of who they
everything.
are.
Yeah, well, I mean, and not just that. I mean, no matter what they come to you with, if they say whatever they say to you,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
give it a minute.
Yeah,
You know, take a beat
the best,
before you react.
exactly. The best way to be there for your young child is to, or for your child, whatever age they are,
Right.
is to listen, to love, and to support them, letting them know that it's normal and it is okay to have these visions or to have the dreams or to feel the feelings of other
Yeah.
people. That they have superpowers, you can tell them.
Who doesn't want to have superpowers?
Right. Channel it into a positive direction. Put some framing around it so
Yeah.
that they can feel okay and good and positive about it. The 8th point is creativity. So one of the things you can really do to help your child that's gifted, give them some way to express themselves, because they might not always be putting into words everything that's going on in their head.
Okay.
And so giving them the tools to either express themselves through art, through writing, or
Oh.
through
Oh, okay. Yeah.
journaling. Music is another good way to express yourself, because everybody is different. Every child is different with what will flow out, but they need to be able to pour everything out that's in their heart, that's in their mind, to be able to empty and clear their mind so they can feel that grounding and that stability, so they can focus on everything else that's going
Well,
in
and they
life.
can make sense of it.
Exactly.
Sometimes.
Exactly.
Sometimes
Getting into
those
that side of the
things give you
brain
that.
can give you that clarity
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, because that was music for me.
Yeah,
So-
and again, that's good for all children
Yeah,
too.
for all
Giving
children.
them something to
Yeah.
creatively express themselves,
Yeah, yeah.
especially if they're gifted, they need it even more.
Yeah.
Number 9, emotional stability and support is a huge, huge key. We've kind of touched on this and we've talked about some of the other things,
Yeah.
but they will likely feel very deeply. And so you need to let them know that they are loved. Let them know that they are not alone. So if you see them starting to withdraw, then talk to them, listen to them, find out what's going on, get them to open up and express themselves, and let them know that their angels are around them. Angels are a really big key. They really, as we talked about in last week's video, angels are always wanting to help us. They're always right there next to us. Tell them about their guardian angel that's with them through thick and thin with all of life, and that there are other angels that are around them when they have things going on as well, and let them know that there's that support as well. Sometimes kids get to certain points where they don't feel as comfortable sharing everything with their parents, and so if you feel like they're not wanting to talk to you, let them know they can talk to their angels
Oh, there you go. Okay.
or their pets.
Or their pets.
Always, you can always talk about the pets.
It helps to really give that emotional stability and that support, which is really important. And our 10th point, so psychic children have a very specific mission for being here. Usually when they're bringing their gifts here, it's because they have something very important to accomplish on this planet. That's why we're having the indigo children, the crystal children, this insurgence from the 60s on where a lot of, well, in the 60s, as people before born before that,
Mhm,
so maybe 40s on. We've really seen this emergence of people being born on this planet that have a specific mission, a specific purpose, and to help them to get in touch with that so they can really live out their mission is going to be the biggest way to do that, is to help them to feel emotionally supported,
Yeah.
grounded.
Have a base that cares about them.
Yes, when they have that base, when they have that foundation, when they know that they're okay, they might be a little different than some of the other kids, but that's okay, that makes them special, that's their superpower, and how can they apply that to whatever they want to do in life? They can grow up to be anything in life, and those psychic abilities, that
Helps
intuition,
them.
really will help them
Yeah.
fulfill their mission. For some, it might be a mission of something that's close to home. It might be that they become somebody like that's a central part in bringing community together, or maybe they're the peacemaker in the office where they work in. That might be
The
a
whole
big
point.
ripple effect
Yeah,
of that.
yeah.
Or they might be somebody that has a big mission to complete that involves the entire world.
Dalai Lama
You
kind
have-
of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You have no idea.
Yeah.
But giving them the emotional stability, that support, that base,
Yeah.
so they know that they're okay.
They can springboard from.
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
the perfect launching pad, so they can really utilize the gifts that they have been born with for that big mission. The more they feel that base, the more they'll be able to get in touch with knowing that mission and feeling that sense of it and putting kind of a name to what's really important to me, and opening up that mission within themselves. Encouraging them can make such a big difference so they don't feel overwhelmed, distressed, or withdrawn. Those are 3 big things to watch for with your gifted children. Are they looking like they're feeling overwhelmed, distressed, or withdrawn? If so, talk to them, touch base with them, see
That's
what
actually,
you need to do.
those are the 3 things that says something's wrong with your kids, pretty much, period.
No matter who it is, yeah,
Yeah.
whether they're gifted or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah. I mean,
absolutely,
if
that's
they take
very true.
They take the time to see that something's happened.
Absolutely. So listen, ask how they feel and how you can help. Teach them about grounding and shielding. Again, we have that in the comments down below on last week's video. Encourage expression in art, journaling, or music. That's a way for them to really figure out, discover, see who they are themselves. And then invite in the angels, the spirit animals, for help and
Angels.
protection. Just listen to
ask.
them. You
Just
just
ask.
ask. They'll be there.
So simple.
Listen, give them unconditional love. Whether your child is gifted or not, whether they're fairly ordinary or they're extremely intuitive.
Ordinary.
Again, call us if you see them levitating.
If they levitate things for themselves,
Call us.
But the biggest key, in all seriousness, is just loving them unconditionally,
absolutely.
letting them know that they are supported and loved.
and that's all kids.
That's all kids.
You should do that for all kids.
Yes, yeah.
So, yay.
So thank you again for joining us. I know this was a little bit of a longer video compared to our normal, but I hope
She
you
talks
enjoyed
a
it. And I hope you will see us next week.
Yeah.
Please remember to like, share, subscribe.